To be local has often referred to where people are born and where they grew up. But I think people can adopt a locality later in life and still be a local. So I think a local is someone who is committed to the community that they're living in. They recognize it as a community and they choose to enhance that community at every opportunity.
Okay, take two. So my name is Libby Rice, and I've lived in Inwood since 1984. Okay, so I'll just say for me, for personally, Inwood to me is a place in Manhattan, because I always wanted to live in Manhattan, but next to the mighty Hudson River, next to beautiful parks. And so it's a perfect combination of city and nature. That's what it means to me.
My name is Libby Rice. No,
oh, great.
I'm ruining it already. My name is Pat Tillery, and I've lived in Inwood since 1974. I would describe Inwood as an arboreal paradise located at the northern tip of Manhattan. It's full of woods, trees, wildlife, and a strong sense of community. For me, adult life has always included a sense of responsibility. I mean, you have to assume a responsibility for many things outside of your control. It sounds so odd, but you have to assume the responsibility of cleaner sidewalks. Pick up a piece of paper, whether you dropped it or not. You don't need to reprimand the person who's dropping it, but do what you can to make it better just by picking it up and doing little deeds to improve your lot in life and someone else's life. I think that's a lot of adulthood, is looking out for someone else.
And I'll add to that, because sort of the yin to Pat's yang, I would say for me, being an adult means I am always working internally to really look at places where I haven't been an adult, to take that kind of inner responsibility for my own reactions to life. So I feel like becoming an adult is an ongoing process. And really, because I feel like I'm looking around at a world that is so immature in so many ways and so reactive. And so I feel like that internal journey, for me anyway, has been absolutely crucial for defining myself as an adult. My whole life, I've put friendship first. Friendship has been the most important thing to me, above everything. The family members that I've been close to, I consider them my friends. I'm loyal, I'm affectionate, I'm loving. And so the friends that I have that I really treasure, those are the friends I end up keeping. I mean, every once in a while, I have broken up with a friend, but it was because we both had to move in different directions. So to me, it's life. It's everything. It's not like we know each other that well. The friendship is not that old. So I would say within that month, we got to know each other a lot better. And we had fun, and we did just stuff together. I think that's how friendship happens.
And Mo survived.
Yeah. Mo not only survived, he thrived. So yeah, okay. Anyway, so you want to move on, right?
Friendship has, a time like this, friendship, stays the same for me. It's something that is a source of stability. It's sort of like a haven. So friendship has always been, as changeable as it is, it's always reliable. So friendship is, in my life, it's an element of solidity. It's something solid. It's interesting. One of the things I'm dealing with on a very sadly regular basis is the Eastern philosophy that you are where you're supposed to be. Because very often I say, no, this is not where I'm supposed to be. This is not it. I should be somewhere else doing something else.
Oh,
something else should have happened in my life to put me somewhere else.
like what?
I would love just to be in a cottage on the lake somewhere and
you could do that.
Live a hermit life.
You could do that.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I often think, is this really what I was meant to be? And should I have gone a different way? And, so it's a question that I ask constantly. During the pandemic, we would go, I have to say, almost every single day we were in the woods all year round. We saw it in all seasons, and it was wonderful. We loved watching the trees change and the green come up. And there's one path, and I guess I could pull out my map, but I'm not going to. There's one path on the way home from the hills that we walk down where the cottonwoods are just in a row, and it's so majestic. It's like being in a cathedral. So in my mind, and Libby pointed it out that it was one of her favorite little paths. And so I always consider it the cathedral of the woods. What I love about the park is there was a time about 15 years ago when people were just leaving my life through death or relocation or whatever. And I was so beside myself, I would get up in the dark, run around the soccer field until the sun came up. So here I am, I'm not a fast runner, but I was out there alone. And I felt protected by the woods. And so I have a lot of emotional connection to the park. And so having a little pathway that just speaks of the majesty of the trees and the universe just, warms my heart.
I think that we are nature, that our bodies are nature, that the problems we're dealing with now is because we see ourselves separate from nature. We're looking at nature as if it's something else. It is us. We are our bodies, our circulatory system, are the rivers and the streams. There's no difference. There's no separation. And I think this Western idea of controlling nature and feeling that we are somehow superior to nature and that it is something to be controlled is what is destroying the planet. And using nature, digging for oil, using all this stuff, this to me is our separation from the knowledge that we are it. We are nature.
So within my family, the traditional line was to have a baby, get married, and move out. And so I chose not to, not because I was a feminist, but because I was more of an individualist. I said, this is not going to work for me. And that's what the 60s gave me, a sense of rebellion. You don't have to do what someone else believes you should be doing.
Okay, so yes, it's true. I was at Woodstock and then I went to Berkeley. So yeah, I was passionate anti-war demonstrator. I even got shot with a putty bullet, okay, because I was demonstrating every day. I was in Washington, D.C. and Berkeley. So I came out of that movement. and that was a certain element of feminism, and what was called in those days consciousness raising groups. So it was women's groups that got together every week, and we talked about consciousness raising. So that was really important in my development. But even as a kid, I knew I didn't want to have children and I didn't want to get married. So in a way, maybe I was lucky to be born at a certain time where some of that feminism was flowering. I just didn't want it. And I did a lot of therapy, and part of it was that, because it's always the question, to a woman, why aren't you married? Why don't you have kids? And for me, part of my answer is I just wanted to get to know myself better. So I do see younger women and men much freer with that basic question, marriage, children. I think people are freer now. At least I hope they are.
So I am of two minds. I think my bigger mind says absolutely nothing. When you're done, you're done. And every once in a while, I think, well, maybe my energy, my spiritual energy will be like a wave, going through the air, and maybe I'll tap somebody on the shoulder or give somebody an idea or something. But that's just sometimes. Most of the time, I think absolutely nothing. When it's over, it's over.
And I actually have a different mind about that. I think that we reincarnate, sort of with this idea of none of us can get it right in the first life. And so we get to practice. And, one of the theories, because I've studied, Chinese medicine for so long with Taoism, one of the theories is that we learn what we learn in this life, and then we get to come back and learn some more, that we can't possibly be whatever, complete beings. So I hope, I think I'm much more of the mind of, I wouldn't mind doing this again, in a different body, in a different form. So yeah, I kind of hope that it's not just this.
Well, that being said, it's not like I don't go to psychics all the time. And I do enjoy a good reading every now and again.
Yeah, she's the one who got me into the reading, by the way.
So I think we have a similar worldview, and yet we have different ways of dealing with the worldview. We have different approaches. And yeah, I think that's it.
I mean, and also I think we really complement each other. Are any sort of contrast? I see Pat as intellectually superior to me, so I can always turn to her. She's shaking her head, but I'm right. So when I have intellectual questions, I have somebody to turn to. But we also get each other out the door, right?
Yep.
We were walking down a path, and here comes Sabas. Sabas actually defied definition because he was a man of nature, even though he grew up in Harlem and fought in the Korean War. But when I met him, he was a man with poncho and layers under the poncho. He would swim in the Hudson. He was very clean. And he could get into the Hudson at Inwood and go to the little beach, and he knew how to float on his back and make it to the George Washington Bridge. At the time, he had his original apartment in Harlem. And when the gentrification of Harlem happened, he was thrown, they literally broke down his door, put his belongings on the street and changed the locks. So the next time I saw Sabas, he said to me, "Oh yeah, I've lost my home. I thought about suing, and my mother came to me in a dream because his mother had passed. And she told me, Sabas, don't do that. You know how to live in the woods. Go live in the woods." And that's what he did.